What's going on, guys? Bexio back, and today we got a brand new video on plug power. And it's not Sunday, which has been the last day we've made another plug video basically every single Sunday for the last couple weeks. Pretty insane, kind of wrapping up the weeks of plug. But got a little bit of moves on the chart for plug, as well as some news and like fundamental things going on with plug as well. But if you are not subscribed, make sure you smash that sub button because we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. But plug power looking pretty good on both charts as well as the fundamental news here. This is the daily, so I have this trend line that I drew last night on the 30-minute, and we'll look at that. But daily, I mean, it's above the 39, basically $40 kind of line here, supporting itself up above. Fought this line for a little bit for a few, maybe about a week, and then kind of really got to bounce up and back into this kind of consolidation little range for a couple days. And will we see it bounce up or bounce down? That's the big question. It seems to be more bullish than bearish, so we'll probably see it bounce up, try and find this $48 level and see how it reacts around there. But if we go into the 30-minute time frames, that's where you see this trend line. And when I drew it, it was about right here, where my cursor is right now, where the line ended for the day yesterday. And now we can see how it interacted with that line, that it's kind of got close here, bounced off twice here, interacted 4 times within 30 minutes. So what is it? This would be 1:30. This would be an hour, 2-hour time period. It interacted with it, bounced off it 4 times, finally broke it, went above. I really rocketed huge candlesticks here, came back down and bounced off it again. And now instead of it being resistance, it turned into support. So if we can continue to hold this, and you see we just did this last 30-minute candle, just got done, and it bounced off it as well. So you see we went below it for a little bit and then came right back off, bounced off it. So could we see a bigger upside move? This is going to be big for a shorter period, time period. So obviously it's on the 30-minute. So it's not a very long resistance or anything, but it has been flipped into support. And then we might see it be able to bounce off from here to try and go to this $48 level. That's a little bit of TA stuff. I mean, seeing it kind of interact perfectly after this line was drawn. So literally right here, this line was drawn, and we see it hit it again 1, 2, 3 times. So plug power is getting set up for a good move up, I think. We've seen around $43 for the week of going up and down both ways. But I think that we're setting up for a good move up, and that next level would be the $48 level, $47.95. See how it interacts there. It'll probably get to that and then get rejected, and we'll see where we bounce and consolidate during that time. What the price will be. Hopefully it'll be higher than 43 and kind of be like $45 levels, and then go from there. But for the fundamentals of plug, this is massive, showing that hedge funds have began to increase their holdings of plug power. They are up 405,000 shares for the last quarter, and we see this chart. So when plug was $3 was when there was massive buying, 4 million shares, basically 4 million again, 3 million, and then you see it kind of trending down as the price goes up, because you know, if you buy it at $3 and it 10x's, I mean, hedge funds are going to sell off. They're going to lock in profits. They're going to try and get those numbers to show their clients, look, we're making money. We just got 1,000%. We're doing great, and try and keep them as clients. During this downfall, you see they really weren't buying shares, and that's probably what really caused this, was hedge funds really buying in, then hedge funds selling out. And you can see that with the bars of hedge funds, they didn't buy as much, and then they really went low, 540,000 when it was millions, and then 164,000. This was when they were really, really trimming their holdings. And now they're starting to tick up again, 570,000, and then 405,000 for the last quarter. So starting to buy more. Obviously, we saw it 10x from the last time they did that. Much smaller company, probably not going to do another 10x in, you know, a couple months. If it does, $410 a share, that'd be ridiculous. But I wouldn't see that, you know, in the super short term. That's a much longer term thing. But with hedge funds buying in, that's a lot of money. Obviously, massive amounts of money that they manage, and then putting it into plug power would bid the price up of the stock and then the price gets bid up. It looks like Plug's doing really good. They reported really good numbers, the most revenue they've ever had in their company in their last earnings report, and now hedge funds diving back in. So it's looking very good for Plug. It's looking like they can hit their growth estimates. They can become profitable by 2024 with that like $1.5 billion in revenue by then. And then 2026, $3 billion in revenue. So it's looking more and more likely they can hit those numbers, that they can generate that cash flow and become a profitable business, which would mean they're going to be a massive growth company. And the 10x is probably going to be at minimum 2024, more likely nearing 2030, when hydrogen can start becoming this fuel that people actually use, or if the market decides it wants it. And obviously more reasons as well. The passing of the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill spurred hopes of growth, strong growth ahead for fuel cell stocks. That's Plug Power, Bloom Energy, Fuel Cell Energy. They're all in the same kind of space. And then, so what? The bill that passed November 5th calls for investments across the infrastructure sector, including $7.5 billion on zero and low emissions buses and ferries, and another $7.5 billion on electric vehicle charging infrastructure. So the first part there, $7.5 billion going towards this zero and low emission buses, ferries. That's hydrogen. That could be electric as well, but it's probably going to be hydrogen. It's just more easier to do with buses and things like that, and probably even especially ferries and boats. When you start talking like that, batteries are very heavy. I don't know how that would interact with boats and floating and all of that stuff, but hydrogen very light, so it would make, obviously ferries and stuff easy to just use that, transition to that. And buses, heavy duty things already, adding a lot of weight to that could be a little bit more dangerous as well. So maybe a move towards hydrogen in there. So $7.5 billion. Everybody knows government money is the easiest money to get. The government doesn't negotiate for contracts, so some of that money is going to find its way to the hydrogen space, and some of that money is going to find its way to Plug, and they're going to be able to push out more hydrogen, push out more fuel cells, start to get this stuff going. They already have the partnerships with aerospace stuff. They have partnerships with Renault and all that in Europe. So they already are in kind of this game here, and being able to just bring it to the US and take this government money and just throw it there and show more growth and more revenue is going to be good for Plug. And then to go a little bit more state level, kind of like a hydrogen fuel cell technology is getting a lot of attention lately from clean energy enthusiasts. California, for example, sees hydrogen fuel cell electric vehicles as critical to achieving its goal of 1.5 million zero-emission vehicles by 2025. So if that's still the case as well, then you have much more growth needed, or growth coming to Plug from even the state level, where they'll incentivize people like Plug and these companies to build out this hydrogen fuel cell stuff, get it into cars and start trying to make it. And that's where the infrastructure will be built. So hydrogen fueling stations, getting hydrogen fuel cells into cars, that's where all of that's going to be built out. And then 2025 is just so happens to be after the year of Plug becoming profitable and then seeing $3 billion in sales or revenue. There's just going to be a lot of growth happening for this whole kind of industry. And then just to kind of break down this infrastructure bill, because why it's so big for energy and stuff, and these energy stocks and clean energy especially, you see $110 billion for what you think of as infrastructure, roads, bridges, airports, all that kind of stuff. I think they might do airports separately, but $66 billion for trains. We still use trains. $65 billion for high-speed internet. Probably needed, probably overpriced, not really spending efficiently, but what do you expect? $73 billion for clean energy. So obviously this is big for obviously Plug, Tesla's, all of those kind of companies in clean energy space. They're going to get a share of this $73 billion. It's going to help them continue to grow and build out the infrastructure and stuff for basically free, because they'll get government subsidies, and then be able to report much better numbers. Investors get happy, get excited, the price goes up, we're all happy that we're in it. And then obviously the biggest part of this, expanding clean energy. So that's just obviously what the money is for, and seeing it's going to flow into Plug Power. It's going to flood into all these companies, Plug, Bloom Energy, Fuel Cell Energy, Tesla's. So it's not all going to go to Plug, but it's going to they're going to get a decent portion of it. And then finally, Plug Power is building yet another hydrogen fuel cell plant in Bethlehem. So they already have a bunch of plants in North America. They have plants in Europe. They're building a plant in with the SK partnership. They might not be building a plant there, but now they're building one in Bethlehem. So just really building out their global structure of this kind of hydrogen energy, their global infrastructure. They're going to be able to serve the world. They're not focusing on one country or anything. They're going to try and serve everyone, which opens them up to the global market, obviously, which is much bigger than just any market by itself. So the growth from this stuff should be pretty insane. A lot of good things coming out of Plug right now. The chart looks pretty good. Looks like we're going to have a decent little upside move. Nothing crazy. It is a short time period of that trend line, but an upward move nonetheless. And the fundamentals continue to look good. Hedge funds buying in. Insiders still buying in as well. They're building out their infrastructure. The infrastructure bill itself has a lot of money in it for things like Plug Power and all these energy companies. So the future, it looks pretty good for Plug, and it looks like they're going to be able to achieve their growth model that they've set out, and they're going to live up to expectation. But as always, guys, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and I'll see you guys in my next video.